Off and running.
Here, you go there. I'll go.
Okay. You gotta go this way.
Left everything at the store.
What do you need, Luda?
Water?
No, I brought the snacks.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Yes.
Get them out.
Water?
I know. We brought the water too. Thank you.
Everybody,
What?
welcome aboard the last train of the day. Looks like we are cleared for takeoff here. So a quick check on the old microphone. If it is too loud for you on the mic, raise your hands. Too loud. Opposite trouble, too quiet. Alright, looks good. Here we go. My name is Owen. I'll be your tour guide today as we travel through one of the two front doors of the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance. Look for all sorts of lovely life thriving in the African Savanna Conservation Hub.
That works.
Okay, one more time.
One more. Cheese.
During this time, my primary responsibility is for the safety of everybody aboard. So please remain seated if the vehicle's moving, in case I gotta stop suddenly. Don't play with your doors, don't lean up against your doors, they won't support you. Don't throw any of your stuff overboard, I cannot retrieve lost items. And in case of medical emergency, press one of the yellow safety strips on the ceiling. That'll buzz me in the cab so I know to call the medics out for you.
Enjoy, everyone.
And I believe that is probably more than enough safety lecture. Let's get on to the fun stuff now, start looking for wildlife. In the distance on your left, you might see giraffes and antelope way down the valley and up on the hillsides. We'll spend more time with those animals later in the tour, so don't worry about them too much just for the time being. For right now, we'll concentrate instead over to the right-hand side, where a cheetah can be found in the tall grass in the shadows, underneath a pair of bushes on top of a small grassy knoll. There's a brown and black spotted cat, its head picked up from the ground and looking back at us. Capable of speeds up to 70 miles an hour. And currently going 0 miles an hour. Which is, I'm afraid, the typical speed of a cheetah. The cat that spends 19 to 20 hours a day resting and relaxing. And have that energy for the next big hunt. We'll see a bit more activity out of some feathered friends just down the roadside here. Lots and lots of beautiful birds on the marshlands of Africa and the marshlands of California too. We'll concentrate on the African birds for the time being, and especially the greater flamingos, who are in the shallow water near the wooden fence line. Greater flamingos, you'll notice, not as pink in color as many of their cousins. They have relatively pale plumage, which is the result of life in the salt marshes of mainland Africa. In those inland marsh habitats, predators are numerous and ubiquitous. And being eaten is a very real, everyday concern. Paler coloration will help the greater flamingo to better blend in with the rest of their flock and avoid accidentally turning into dinner.
What?
Contrast that with their North American cousins who live in places like small Caribbean islands, where predators are enormously rare. Caribbean flamingos much more concerned with showing off to one another as a part of elaborate courtship rituals. Let's keep those eyes on the right-hand side, straight up in front of us. Look out amongst the boulders against the farthest wall and the line of trees. One of the boulders out there, you might notice, has ears. If you're looking at a rock and it doesn't have ears, keep looking until you find one that does, and that'll be a rhinoceros. Specifically a southern white rhinoceros, the species that comes from the grasslands of Africa.
He's a chubby unicorn.
The southern white rhino is doing just what most southern white rhinos do most of the time, and eating. Consuming the calories that will help to maintain that svelte figure. 4,000 to 5,000 pounds of bone and muscle. All made possible because of grass, which is not the world's most nutritious food. That's why southern white rhinos need to spend usually more than 10 hours a day eating. Sometimes as many as 15 hours out of 24. Back to your left-hand side, you'll see the park's representation of the grasslands of Africa. Wide open space, long sight lines, wildlife gathered together into big herds. These are attributes that more traditional zoos are not able to provide for their animals, which we can here at the park because of how large our footprint is. It's a big part of the reason why the park has been so successful, historically speaking, as a conservation organization. The only downside, as you might have noticed already, that does mean the animals are free to wander around wherever they like. So they don't always necessarily end up directly in front of us or evenly spread out. And that's all part of the adventure. We'll be going on a big long tour, doing our best to suss out where they are, make our own good luck. Almost immediately, for example, we're going to run smack dab into a baby antelope. Down on the left, a young springbok. Mom and dad have a black racing stripe and a white belly. The calf should be pretty easy to identify. That's the one that looks just like mom and dad, only smaller. Maybe about a month and a half, 2 months old. Notice how big and mobile the springbok baby is already. It's part of being an antelope. Mom doesn't have opposable thumbs. She can pick you up and carry you around. You want to avoid predators, you got to move on your own. Most antelope take their first steps within an hour of being born. They're usually running by the time they're about a day old. These here are sable antelopes, dark brown in color with backwards curved horns. We're starting to get out of the grasslands a bit and into the savannas, which are areas adjacent to the grassland defined by heavier brush and tree cover. The dark brown coats of the sable antelope, for example, helping them to blend in to shadows cast by the trees. The most famous savanna-dwelling animal, though, is going to be just down the roadside a bit here, where we'll run right into some giraffes. Like the springbok, there are baby giraffes here as well. A little bit on the older side. One's about 7 months old, the other one's about 6 months old. They are half siblings, so same dad, different moms. The one who's a bit more out in the open, that's the younger one. That's the half sister. The one back in the trees, he's a little bit older, that's the half brother. And then, of course, all the adult giraffes hanging out. Bear in mind, as you're looking at these animals, that they are all gigantic. There's no such thing as a small giraffe. The babies you see here were close to 6 feet tall when they popped out of mom. They've been growing up to 6 inches a month since then.
Gotcha, Luna.
I'll admit I have not gone out with a tape measure to get their exact height, but it's a pretty safe bet that they're both over 8 feet tall by now. They only look small in comparison to the adult giraffes, who average around 15 feet tall. The animals are working on a radically different scale than us humans. And you'll be able to keep the giraffes in view of it over your left-hand shoulders. I did want to sneak up just a little bit farther forward, though, and say hello to a pair of beautiful Hemsbok antelope. We're right up alongside the road. Big, long, V-shaped horns and a black and white face. Hemsbok are a desert antelope species from southwestern Africa. The first desert dwellers we've run across today, although I don't think they'll be the last. When you're looking at antelope, look for pale coat colorations and long horns. Those are usually indicative of desert animals. The lighter coloration helping to better reflect light and heat, keep the animal a bit cooler. Well, the longhorns help with competition in the group over limited food and water resources. We'll see some more Hemsbok just down the roadside here, along with the grassland cousin hanging out a bit farther behind. Big tan animals in the background there are called common elands. They come from the dry grasslands of eastern Africa. Back to the right, meanwhile, a desert animal up here, but not an antelope. This is a species of wild donkey, silver with black striping on their legs, called the Somali wild ass. They're native to the Horn of Africa, where unfortunately they have been pushed to the brink of extinction by ongoing conflict in that region. Wars can be every bit as deadly for wildlife as they are for humans. Less than 200 Somali wild ass exist today. Very glad to have the ones here at the park. But I do think it's important to remember also that conservation necessarily has to include peace and human dignity. We are all of us tied together in this world. Every human, every animal, every plant. We're all on the same rock together, spinning around the sun. Now, looking out across the valley on your left, looks like there's a pair of rhinoceros on the far hillside. If they stay put, we should be rolling right up next to them in 1 or 2 minutes. No promises that they stay put, but they are stationed right now at a feeding station. And as I was telling you earlier, that's where rhinos like to be. Well, it's not a guarantee, it is a relatively safe bet. That handsome fellow, meanwhile, with the backwards curving horns, the black and white face right at the top of the hillside here. He's a roan antelope. Species that comes from light savannas in southeastern Africa. Now, before we head up to the rhinos, I do want to briefly point out the rainforest animals on our right. Bit of a tricky view for them. You have to look almost directly in front of the tram. They're hiding along the wall, just up from the pond. Bongo antelope, dark orange with white stripes on their backs. A relatively rare sight on the tour, because again, they do come from the jungles. And so bongos spend most of their time hiding. As far as bongo go, this is relatively visible for them, believe it or not. But I do want to make sure you get a chance to see those rhinos as well. So let's skedaddle just around the corner here. These are southern white rhinoceros. Again, they're the same species we saw earlier in the tour, the grassland rhinos. And they can be distinguished primarily because of their gigantic noggins. The head of the southern white rhinoceros is about twice the size of any of their cousins. Tends to be relatively blocky and rectangular. The southern white rhino head usually kept down close to the ground where they rip up huge swathes of grass at once. And I'm making sure to mention these physical attributes because I don't want you to get confused. There are two species of African rhinos, the white rhinos that we see here, and their cousins, the black rhinoceros. But don't pay any attention to the names. White rhinos and black rhinos are the exact same color. They're both that kind of shade of gray. You have to look for the head and the environment to tell them apart. Black rhinos from the forests and scrublands, white rhinos from the grasslands, which is also where you'll find wildebeest and zebra down to our left. Wildebeest silver in color with dark brown face. The zebra, come on, you know what a zebra looks like. I don't need to describe it to you. Handsome fellow though. It's called a Grenese zebra. It comes from northeastern Africa. Whereas the wildebeest or gnu that we see here come from the Masai Mara, the Serengeti, along the Kenya-Tanzania border region. The wildebeest migration will carry them hundreds of miles, big circles across those grasslands, where they will travel in herds of tens of thousands. And as the wildebeest herd passes through, they mow the lawn down, but they also sow the seeds for next year. As the herd passes, their hooves aerate the soil, their fur picks up seeds and carry them over wide areas. Their waste fertilizes those seeds. So next year's the pastures will be green and lush again. Big mammal migrations are not like some plague of locusts descending and devouring everything in front of them. They are instead the harbingers of life, turning over the grasslands and allowing those plains to support enormous numbers of animals. Other big herbivores like rhinos, giraffes, buffalo, they depend on the migrations of antelopes. And the big carnivores depend on the antelope too. Giraffes are too rare, buffalo are too big, rhinos are both too big and too rare. They're not feeding the cats. It's the humble antelope, like the wildebeest, that provide the calories.
And look, this guy. Oh yeah, he's like our own David Attenborough.
Now, I'm not telling you all this, by the way, because I want you to give up on rhinos or giraffes, make wildebeest your new favorite animals. I just want to make sure that we give wildebeest and other antelope the same respect, understanding we afford their bigger cousins. And you might have noticed, by the way, through all that, I mentioned one other big animal. I talked about rhinos, I talked about giraffes, and I did mention buffalo too. It occurs to me, though, we haven't actually seen buffalo. So let's fix that real quick. Come around this corner here. You'll find the big dark brown animals with thick, short curved horns. Buffalo are also migratory animals, though their herds are quite a bit smaller than those of the wildebeest. Buffalo will travel in groups of 100 to 150. And organizing those herds is no small feat. Buffalo herds will be organized and led by their eldest matriarchs, the oldest and most experienced cows in the group, who will serve not just as leaders, but take on an even more important role, and will be teachers, instructing their daughters and granddaughters on the safest route toward the greenest pastures and how to best organize defenses against predators. By maintaining this institutional knowledge and passing it down, the buffalo matriarchs ensure that their descendants will be able to follow in the footsteps of their ancestors. Providing, of course, that humans don't blunder into the middle of things and mess everything up. Which, let's be honest, humans love to do that. In this case, we have a tendency to build things like walls and roads, which cut migratory animals like buffalo off from their migrations and lead to mass starvation within the herds. This is true not just in Africa, but here in San Diego County as well, all around the world. And I'm not saying we can never build things, but as humans, it does behoove us to do careful environmental reviews, to understand the impacts our actions will have before we take them, and to mitigate the harm of those actions wherever possible by doing things like building underpasses and overpasses where migratory animals can continue on their way. And for giraffes specifically, I think probably an overpass is going to be a better plan than an underpass. Those are very tall animals to be trying to squeeze under a freeway. We'll get one final view of giraffes here. They're in the foreground, a small grove of palm trees. While behind them you can see numerous beautiful antelopes and rhinoceros. Probably the most striking of the antelope species here over your right-hand shoulders are up on the dusty hillside. They can be seen as white silhouettes with long horns. That's a desert species called the scimitar horned oryx. Their coats are picking up the sun beautifully here at the end of the day and reflecting that light, reflecting the heat to keep them more comfortable. The comfort of the wildlife is our primary goal here at the park. And you are contributing to it by being here, spending your time, your money at the park. This is a non-profit organization. The money you spend here today goes back toward the wildlife and our conservation efforts in Africa and around the world. Even if you're a kid, I know it's October, it's free month, you didn't pay to get in. But that's okay, because you're doing something more important. Learning about this wildlife, learning to love it. Yeah. First best step you can take towards conservation. Now, don't worry about the financials, they'll work themselves out. I'm just happy to have your attention.
I love this guy.
Although I do have to, I'm afraid, drop you off back at the station. I'm going to ask everybody to please wait until I bring the vehicle to a full and complete stop, at which point we will exit to the right-hand side only. Notice that's the side toward the station, not the side into the active road. Gates to get out found by the cab. My name's Owen. I'll be up there too to answer questions. Let yourselves out. It's over your station.
Owen. Thank you, Owen.